Hi folks, welcome to Coffee and Revelation. This is Friday and we're taking a break till next Friday actually, as we're heading away to Cairns and should be back, God willing, next Thursday. But looking forward to a break, and we've just come to the end of chapter 19 and I'm calling this the wrong side of history. And I saw an angel, we're in Revelation 19 verse 17, and I saw an angel standing in the sun who cried in a loud voice to all the birds flying in midair, "Come, gather together for the great supper of God, so that you may eat the flesh of kings, generals and the mighty, of horses and their riders, and the flesh of all people, free and slave, great and small." Then I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gather together to wage war against the rider on the horse and his army. But the beast was captured, and with it the false prophet who'd performed the signs on its behalf. With these signs he had deluded those who had received the mark of the beast and worshipped its image. The two of them were thrown alive into the fiery lake of burning sulphur. The rest were killed with the sword coming out of the mouth of the rider on the horse, and all the birds gorged themselves on their flesh. In some ways, it sounds so Lord of the Rings, doesn't it? You know, feast on their flesh. It just seems a horrible image, but what's happening here is we're contrasting two suppers. One is the marriage supper of the Lamb, and the other is, if you like, the judgment supper of God. One is salvation, obviously, and the other is judgment. And again, you wonder at the horror of the imagery, but the imagery comes from the book of Ezekiel, which John, and I suspect many of his readers would have known. So this is Ezekiel 39:4. "I will give you as food to every kind of predatory bird." And then from verse 17 to 20, "Speak to the bird of every wing, gather yourselves together and come, so that you may eat flesh. You will eat the flesh of the mighty ones and the blood of princes, and you will be satisfied at my table with horses and chariots, mighty ones, and all the men of war." So that's really saying to us that there is a fulfillment of this, that this final division between God and the devil, between those who follow Christ and those who don't, will take place. And we'll see more of that in chapter 20. But it's telling us that Christ defeats the beast, Christ defeats the false prophet, and Christ defeats their followers at the end of history. And it also tells us about the lake of fire that burns. The two of them were thrown alive into the fiery lake of burning sulphur. So, what do we learn from all that? I learned something very straightforward. I find this actually very encouraging. So every now and then I get a tweet or a message from someone saying, "You're on the wrong side of history. Because you believe in biblical marriage, you're on the wrong side of history. Because you uphold what the gospel says, you're on the wrong side of history." And even sometimes I hear professing Christians say that kind of thing. Now, first of all, it's a ridiculous thing, the idea that there's a right side and a wrong side. But if you are going to play that game, then I would suggest this. The wrong side of history is at the end when you've been on the wrong side. When all along you've been on the wrong side. You're either on the Lord's side or you're on the devil's side. And I think those of us who are Christians, we can read this and we can be absolutely assured, just as John, I can imagine the Roman soldiers taunting him, "You're on the wrong side of history. Nero's in charge now. Your Christ is gone. He's dead. We've taken over." I can imagine them saying things like that. And John is being told, no. In the great scheme of things, there's a right side of history. And the right side of history is to be on Christ's side. And that will demonstrate itself and show itself out. Not through all the brilliant arguments we may have in this world, but just purely and simply through the course of events. So I just wonder on what side of history you are. Are you on the right side? The side that goes to the marriage supper of the Lamb? Or are you on the side that ends up in the fiery lake of sulphur and the devouring of the wicked kings and all their mighty men? Okay, well, hopefully I'll see you in a week's time. We will. I've recorded something for Sunday, for Songs for Sunday, if you listen to that. And otherwise, I'll see you next Friday.